Many of us will go into retirement and most of our money is going to be in a 401k. That's where we've been saving it. That's the vehicle that they gave us after pensions kind of went away. So now what do we do? So the people at Vanguard took a look at what their people do. And here's what they found. 52% of people take the money from their 401k and they roll it into their own IRA. 31% of them cash it out. 17% of them stay in the plan. So when you get into retirement, is it a good idea, Jay, to keep money in your 401k, or are there other options that you should be exploring?
Yeah, so it's a great question that comes up a lot, Randy. And the way we approach it is we just kind of walk people through the reality of the two different options and the pros and cons to each. And we'll tell them straight up, you absolutely can leave your money in the 401k after you leave your employer. Usually they've got some very small minimum. You have to have at least $1,000 to leave it there. Otherwise they want you to take it out. But most people do have that, or considerably more than that. Can you leave it in your 401k? Absolutely. What we find with most 401ks, and this is a topic that comes up that is typically a decision point, right? Is most 401ks are quite limited in the investment options that you can choose inside of them, right? There's a large employer we work with closely here in town, or a lot of our clients retire from there. And in the 401k they've got there, and this is not unique to their 401k, most of them are like this, right? There's really 7 or 8 choices if you look at it. And so we'll often say that, and they're like, well, no, there's 15 choices here. I was like, yeah, but half of them are target date funds. Okay. And that's just a mixture of everything else that's there, right? So you're not getting any extra exposure. So you've got 7, 8, 9 choices, whatever. And while you're working, while you're accumulating wealth and you're a much more aggressive investor, that's probably okay. Hey, I want to have my everything in the markets and I'm going to just kind of let this ride, and well, wait a second, now I'm retiring. Can I really expose myself to that much risk? Well, if I don't want to be all in equities, what's my other option here? A fixed account. Well, I kind of don't want to go to that extreme either. I'm looking for something a little bit in the middle. And what we find more and more is that people come to the conclusion themselves that I need more options than what can be offered to me in this selection of 401ks, and they move it into an IRA. They're working with us. We'll help them manage it. And their investment options go from 7, 8, whatever it is, to thousands. And that's what they need.
Gotcha. So what about fees? You talk about fees all the time, and I know that we don't even think about that when we're in an employer plan, but this is costing us some money. If you're in some kind of a plan and there's 10,000 employees, you would think that they have a pretty big plan and they can cut fees down. Do you find that the fees when you're in the plan are any comparison to when you have your own IRA? Are they lower there? How does that compare?
The difficulty people have with that is that there's really no transparency on 401k fees, right? And in what I always tell people to do is, we're investment managers. We do financial planning, and we manage accounts for people, and we charge a fee for that, obviously, right? And what I say to people is like, look, don't believe me. I think the way we do it's better, of course. I mean, it's my business, right? Of course we think it's better.
Yeah.
You should go and research it for yourself and see for yourself. Ask the 401k provider, what are the fees that are being charged for me? This is usually what the answer is. Oh, there's no cost, it's free. Well, who's paying your salary? The person who just told me that, right? Who's paying the electricity in that building that you're in, that you go to work in, I mean, come on. I mean, let's in my book that we discuss here sometimes, Wall Street's Game, I've got a section in there that talks about this, right? Is that anybody who tells you that something is free and you can't see what the charge is means that it's there, it's just behind the scenes. And kind of use a bit of common sense that everyone's got to get paid for something, right? So obviously there's fees there somewhere. So you're probably going to have a hard time getting the information from the 401k provider as to, what the fees actually are. But what I always encourage people to do is go online and do a Google search on 401k and companies being sued by their employees because the 401k fees are too expensive, right? There's a big company here in Texas that recently got sued by their employees that has hundreds of thousands of employees. It's through the whole country. And so you're not getting anything for free, essentially, kind of think of it that way. This is step 2 to that as well. You manage your 401k essentially, right? There might be some number you can call and they'll be like, well, kind of this is about where you should be at your stage of life for investing, but there's never a recommendation. It's always like, just here's some general advice, now go and implement it yourself, right? So even if the fee is very minimal, what are you paying for? Right? If there's no real advice, no real planning, no direct investment recommendation, regardless of what the fee is, what are you paying for?
Great point. I mean, I've been in Vanguard, I've been in Fidelity, I've been in John Hancock and the different jobs that I've had over the years, and I've probably been in a 401k for over 30 years, and nobody has ever reached out to me and said, hey, Randy, how you doing? You feel good about things? Here's some things that we could probably do at this point in your life. Nobody has ever called me and done that. I've never had any kind of a seminar at work. Nobody's going to the cafeteria and says, hey, we're going to talk about our 401ks today. Never in all that time. And I don't want that in my retirement. I want some management of my money and some personal management because, with your own IRA, then you can move things around. And I think that's a huge feather in your cap in retirement years.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that personalized plan that, and we talk about it all the time, right? Is that, there's all these general things you can read up and people can tell you. But at the end of the day, don't you want somebody looking at, this is my situation. This is what I'm trying to achieve. These are the goals that I have. And I need advice based specifically on that.